My name is Jonathan Locke. I'm a product manager at R3, and I'm here with Dimos Raptors, who is a software engineer at R3. And we are going to be talking about a new feature that's being introduced in Corda Enterprise 4.4, which are the Artemis tuning options. So, Dimos, would you mind telling us more about the Artemis tuning options?
Yes, so we introduced two new options in the node configuration, specifically the section for enterprise tuning. The first one is called journal buffer timeout, and it represents the interval at which Artemis messages that are buffered in memory will be flashed to disk. And the second one is called journal buffer size, and it corresponds to the size of the in-memory Artemis buffer.
Okay, thanks. And could you tell us a bit more about what these options do? So, what are the trade-offs? I mean, are there any trade-offs involved in changing these options?
Yeah, definitely. So, if one decreases the journal buffer timeout, for example, that the immediate implication of that is that messages will be flashed to disk more frequently. And that means that the application might notice lower latency because messages will flow through to the counterparties more quickly. But it also means it might have a negative effect on throughput due to the more frequent flashing to disk.
Okay, so most people won't have any need to change these settings, but for those select customers who find themselves in need of latency, it might be worth tuning these options to see if they can improve latency without sacrificing throughput.
Yes, exactly. And we would recommend also benchmarking any changes for customers that really care about latency, so that they can be sure they achieve the proper balance between latency and throughput.
Great. So the customers should ideally set up a benchmarking environment where they can measure latency and throughput as they exist, with the default values, and then as they change those values, they can see whether they can get a latency improvement without having to sacrifice throughput.
Yes, right.
That's right. Great, thank you. And would you be able to tell us what the default value for these settings are?
Sure. The default value for the journal buffer timeout at the moment is 3 milliseconds. And the default value for the journal buffer size is calculated dynamically based on the maximum message size of the network parameters. And that is done in order to ensure messages of any allowed size will be able to be stored successfully in Artemis.
Great. Dimos, Dimos, thanks very much. Thanks very much for your time in discussing this new feature today. And to our R3 customers, obviously there will be more information about these features available in the Corda Enterprise documentation, which we recommend that you read. Thank you.